Girl.
Have you ever talked to a man and then found out he had a whole girlfriend?
So there's your daddies, and then you have your granddaddies.
Yeah. You know, they just kind of stood there and looked pretty. Better looking. There's two kinds of sponsored trips.
You and I are fun. I don't want a friendly ass man. Are we hot?
Some would say.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Bottle Girl Diaries. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Cindy Nansiri. I was formerly a bottle server in the Las Vegas nightlife industry, obviously up until the shutdown. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with the beautiful Bree.
Hi.
But before we get started, let's take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on next week's episode. I'll wait. So let's go ahead and get started. Everyone, this is Bree. She is currently a flight attendant for Alaska Airlines, and she's also working at Daylight Beach Club for their night swim party. So tell us about yourself as far as, you know, your nightlife experience and your, you know, background. Where were you born and raised? And I'll let you take the floor.
Sure. So I was actually born and raised here in Vegas.
Okay.
I went to school here, so I went to UNLV.
Okay.
So yeah, this is all I know, pretty much. I think I'm as Vegas as you can get.
Wait, explain as Vegas as you can get, because I feel like people have a stereotype of like Vegas girls, so I'm really curious to know what, you know, your experience with that would be.
First, let's start with the obvious thing is that like places aren't open 24 hours. I feel like we are used to being able to walk into a grocery store.
Okay.
Hey, I just got off work. That's something that I expected when I started to go travel other places. And then the actual Vegas aspect is that it's a Tuesday and I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
Right.
You know, I think I kind of live up to that as well.
Right. There's always, I know it's crazy, like you could get off work, and sometimes I would go grocery shopping when I got off work because nobody's in there and it's like 6 a.m. So especially if you worked the nightclub shift. So so you're born and raised here, and tell me about like when you decided to, you know, what made you decide to want to get into this industry? What was your first job? Did you start in a big club? Because some girls started at like smaller places like Hooters or whatnot. So
no, I actually didn't want to do bottle service. I was working front desk at MGM.
Okay.
I was gonna go to school to work in hotel management.
Oh, really?
Because my idea of a cocktail waitress was the casino floor.
Yeah.
The 50, 60, whatever year old.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that, even though I had heard the money was good. But when you keep hearing about how good the money is, you're like, well, I kind of want to, I want to peek into that. So 2 years ago, I decided to like hire a trainer and try to get myself in shape for auditions.
Okay.
I auditioned for a couple places. No one called me back. And
it's so discouraging. Like, it's the hardest thing. I don't think that people know what we actually like have to go through. And, you know, you stand in a line and you some girls get their makeup done, and we spend all this money on trainers and, you know, healthy, meal prepping, eating healthy, starving ourselves like for 2 weeks up until the auditions. And when you get that rejection or you don't get called, it can really hurt your ego, like your self-esteem.
Absolutely. I think the best way to put it is the way that you feel scrolling on Instagram in real life. Like when you're at auditions.
That's a good way to put it.
You have the most beautiful women around you, even though that when you left the house, you thought you looked great.
Yeah.
There's someone who's thinner and taller and boobs are bigger.
Boobs are bigger, waist is smaller, like lips are bigger, like everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So that was discouraging, but I was glad I did it. And then it showed me though that just wait for things, because a couple months later, the manager from Light reached out and said, hey, we actually have a position open at the nightclub.
Okay.
So they must have kept my resume or something. And I started last year in April. So,
okay, so you're new.
Yeah, I'm a baby to this.
She's a baby. Okay, so that's actually exciting, because most girls that have actually been on Bottle Girl Diaries, I don't know if you've seen, but those girls have like 5+ years behind them. And some of them are even like, you know, veterans or retired out of the industry, including myself, because I've been in it since 2015.
Okay, yeah.
So that's cool. So so you were working at Light nightclub, obviously, and obviously the shutdown happened. So you're working at Daylight Beach Club, but just the nightclub party, or the night swim, right?
The night swim.
Okay. And what nights is that?
So we're open Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
Before the nightclub was open Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, so it is a reduction, but it's been good.
That's good. I mean, honestly, at this point, it's just a blessing to even be working. Because obviously, like Jewel, like we got laid off. We haven't heard anything. Like we don't know, what's going to happen. So do they make you guys wear masks too? Okay. Oh.
That was probably the weirdest part about going back, is that I have to sanitize the bottle before I hand it to you. I have to sanitize your ID after we make a copy of it. The mask policy. You have 7 people in your cabana. I have to be like, hey, one of you has to leave, one of you has to go. Yeah. And I think at the beginning of shutdown, people were really nice. They were like, thank you so much for being open. Now they're over it. They're over the rules.
People don't care.
No.
People really don't care. Obviously, real quick, I don't know if you guys have seen the headlines, but I don't know how to put this, but and it's people that aren't necessarily, like, they're just not acting right. Because you obviously saw the fights at the Wynn. Girl. Oh, what
It's been so bad. I think they're expecting the Vegas experience, but they flew here for like $6. Their room was comped. Like, it's
true.
It's not the best crowd, but also they're the ones keeping us in business.
That's true.
So that's what I tell myself every time someone's being a little.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, look, you're giving me money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
it's just hard, because at the same time I do feel bad, because at the same time, like, everybody deserves to want to have a good time, but at the same time, like, if you don't come here and fucking act right, then you're the person that's making the stereotype.
Yeah.
Like, they were hitting the security at the Wynn and the purple coats. Some of them are kind of older, and they were getting hit. And I'm like, what in the shit are you doing? Like, why would you know what I mean? They're just trying to do their job. So
exactly.
There's no other way to put it other than it was ratchet. Like,
girls, Labor Day weekend was ratchet.
Girl.
It's just, people don't want to wear the mask because they want to smoke their weed. Like,
I can't.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. So if I could ask you this, you said you didn't want to, work in waitressing. Did you have, like, what was your stereotype of bottle girls? And this will go back to how me and you met or whatnot.
Yeah.
So Brie and I actually, what I remember, if she said she met me one night at Omnia, but I was probably like, who knows, probably drunk or something. But we met because we went out with a couple of our mutual guy friends, and one of them is an NFL player. So we went to XS with him that night, and then we hung out at their suite after. They ordered room service, and we just had like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a spontaneous.
It was just a spontaneous random night, but like we vibed right away. But she made a good point about waitresses just not always being super friendly. So what is your stereotype of bottle girls?
I think before I got into the industry, because even though I just got into it, I was still going to the clubs. So I still saw what they were, how they looked. I definitely thought they were snobby. I thought that their job wasn't hard at all. I thought, they just kind of stood there and looked pretty.
Yeah.
Until I worked my first holiday weekend, I was like, okay, no, these girls, they run around like a chicken with their head cut off.
Yes.
You're in charge of handling big clients with a lot of money, not messing that up is very important. So I think, they're not dumb at all.
There are some dumb ones out there, but not, I don't think that we would fall in that category, but some are just not the most friendly. And I think it's because a lot of girls are insecure and they see us as their competition.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But for me, I'm like, everybody's at the finish line. Like my channel, I bring all different kinds of, women on here, and I don't care if I'm promoting them, because that's I feel like there's just room for us at the finish line, all of us, So with that being said, I guess I would ask you this as, I think that a lot of us can relate, but what is the worst dating experience that you've had in the industry?
Well, to be honest, since I've been in the industry, it hasn't even gotten to that part, because these industry men, it's been the same kind of story with a few. More than I'd like to
explain. Do tell.
Girl, have you ever talked to a man and then found out he had a whole girlfriend? Like,
yeah.
That I feel like is.
You're like, wait, you had a whole ass girlfriend.
Yes. Dude, so I'm allergic to dogs, right? Let me tell you. I went to this guy's house, and even there was no dog there, but I started to like get rashes. So I'm like, hey, do you have a dog? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I was like, well, where is it? He told me the dog was at his mom's house. Do you want to know where the dog was at? At his whole ass girlfriend's house.
His whole ass girlfriend.
Like, but yeah, so honestly though, it hasn't been too bad. I've been kind of trying to enjoy myself, and I've been warned enough by like my other coworkers that unless that industry man is ready to settle down, you should probably steer clear.
Right, but it's crazy because we always find ourselves attracted to them because you were saying like why do you feel like we're attracted to the industry men?
I think because in order to be a good person in the industry, a host, a promoter, whatever you are, you need to be able to talk to people, right?
And be like, have charisma.
Mm-hmm. They're the most charismatic people. They can talk to anyone in any room, and that's what attracts you to them because they talk to you and you're like, wow, you don't realize that they're also talking like that to everybody.
Yeah. Girl, you was charismatic to her and her and her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I'm gonna need you to stop that charisma. Just
like,
give it to me.
Listen, I don't want a friendly ass man. You better be rude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I've had those talks with men too. Like, hey, cut the highs at like maybe 5 people, and then afterwards,
right.
Let's stop.
Yeah, the dating in Vegas, it could go on and on and on. So let me ask you this: I once upon a time wanted to be a flight attendant. And then I even messaged you, and I said, hey, what airline do you work for? And you told me, and you're like, why? I was like, well, I thought about it, but I don't think being a flight attendant is it for me because I get sick on 1-hour flights. So was Alaska your first airline that you worked for?
So I actually got hired for Virgin
Okay,
America.
that's right, and they took over.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that airline.
Girl, it was cute.
Yeah, it was real cute. They had it purple in there and shit. They played songs. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, we wore like red dresses, red short dresses, red heels. I think it's funny that that's probably like the most Vegas airline there was, right?
Yeah.
All the lights, they hired younger, generally like better looking
girls.
Yeah, because if you go on a flight right now, like your United flight attendant is probably older. And I think like the average age of us, it was like I never flew with anyone like older than 30.
Right.
But yeah, I got hired with them maybe 3.5 years ago.
Okay. So did you find it hard though to work with your schedule with light and doing that ever? Did you ever have any issues? And if so, like which job would you call out of? See?
Girl, if anyone from my job is watching this, no, actually I would call out because
that's your secured money though.
I would call out of the airline, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because in order for me to make what I'll make on a Saturday night, I'd have to fly to New York and back.
Oh, yeah.
So it just didn't benefit me. And there's big weekends that are both flying weekends, like a Labor Day,
right,
where they need me to work. But obviously, that's a big weekend for the club.
Right.
I didn't have too much trouble scheduling, but it was difficult because sometimes I'd get off at 3 or 4 and have to work a 5 a.m. flight.
Ooh.
So go straight to the airport.
Ooh, no.
Girl.
See,
Girl, yeah, I would be cranky on those flights. So,
oh my gosh.
Sorry if you've ever been on one of my 5 a.m. flights.
if she might have been that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, how long did it take for you to train to be a flight attendant?
It was 6 weeks.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, but it was my first time being outside of my home. I didn't have family because I'm based in San Francisco. Okay. So that's where the training was.
Okay.
They didn't provide housing. And I was broke at the time.
Yeah.
So me and 2 other girls, we rented like this kind of ratchet Airbnb in Oakland.
Oh shit, in Oakland too.
Girl.
Woo! Child.
Like, yeah, it was a fun experience, but I think people don't give flight attendants enough credit because when you see them, all they do is like pour you a Diet Coke and give you a little cookie or pretzels.
Yeah.
But our training was very extensive. I learned how, CPR, how to put out a fire, what happens if there's a bomb on board.
Ooh, I would be scared.
It was terrifying because they make you watch plane crashes.
Oh no. See, You know the movie Flight with Denzel
Yes.
Washington? No, girl, that's not it for me. I said after this movie, I don't know. I can't.
Yeah,
like,
so
I get scared.
imagine being told like, hey, this fiery plane crash just happened. It could happen to you. It was super daunting. So I remember the first time I flew after training, I already knew like, okay, takeoff is when stuff usually happens. So if it happens, it's gonna happen now. I flew next to somebody I didn't know, obviously, and I was like, do you know what could happen right now? Like, I just learned.
You're not supposed to like scare people.
No, but I don't know. I'm a very like logical, statistics like driven person. So for me it's helpful to know what could happen and that the likelihood is low. You know?
That's funny.
Which is why I don't do well with people who are scared of flying, because my response is like, oh girl, like only 1% of planes crash. But that's how I'm comforted.
See, if you told me that, I'd be like,
that doesn't help me.
No. So, oh girl, only 1% of planes. I'm dead.
Yeah, girl, we haven't even got to the most dangerous part yet. Like, no.
Right. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Being a woman, obviously, in that industry, I've heard some things. Do you guys get hit on a lot by your coworkers, like the pilots or whatever? Because, I mean, I don't know. One of my friends told me, like, it was just not the best industry to be in, and I really want to know, you know.
Well, you have to remember the environment that you're in, right? We get sent to Newark, New Jersey for 30 hours,
right,
where there's maybe nothing to do.
Right.
All you have is your flight attendants and your pilots. Mm-hmm. So if there was ever a man that wanted to stray, he's going to do it there.
Right.
So a lot of the pilots are great. And then there are the ones that are known to, offer to buy you a drink. And then they'll be like, oh, well, let me come up to your room.
Ooh.
So,
but if he's fine, though.
Girl, well, yeah. So if you work at here's a tip too. If you want to work with hot pilots, go to one of the smaller, newer airlines, like Horizon, a SkyWest, if you've heard of that. Those pilots are young because they don't require as many hours.
Yeah.
But no, our pilots are like,
you've done your homework.
Granddaddies. Yeah.
So there's your daddies, and then you have your granddaddies.
Yeah. But they make well into $300,000-400,000 a year.
What?
Yeah. So maybe if the granddaddy is your thing, then do it.
If granddaddy looks like Denzel Washington,
that's true.
For sure. He can get it.
He could have got it after the plane he crashed.
Yeah, even after the plane he crashed. I'm still with you, baby. Your legs don't work, no problem. It's okay, baby.
The credit card work?
Yeah, it's okay, baby. I know. I see you. You can't see anything.
It wasn't your fault.
It's okay. So with that being said, while we're talking about flights and airlines, I decided to have some people send in some, questions or assumptions that they have about sponsored trips, and I'm gonna read these. So I printed them because I'm blind. I can't scroll on my phone. But one girl, she's actually a waitress that worked at EBC. She put, haha, I love that you put a photo of a private jet with this question. Because most of the time, have you ever been on a private jet?
I have not. That's on my 2020 list. Girl, I know.
Oh, girl.
It's the regular folk over here.
Oh.
I have not been on a private jet yet. I've been on Jet Suite. That's as far as I've gone.
Jet Suite's nice.
But, yeah, but girls post that like it's a private jet.
It ain't.
It's not.
No. Mm-mm. A private jet is private, you can't even take pictures on there sometimes. So, okay, then one girl said that, and we'll see how you agree with this. She said, a sponsored trip is a stress-free trip where he spoils you and doesn't expect anything in return. I don't know what trip you've been on.
Yeah, I would love to meet the men that she's...
Whoever that is,
whoever's
send him
flying
our way.
her out, yeah. Because I think that there is, we talked about it earlier, there's two kinds of sponsored trip, right?
Yeah.
You and I are fun, so I feel like
you and I are fun.
So people might want us around as friends.
As friends, yeah. Well, because even that night we were kind of more as friends with our NFL friend and our mutual guy friend. Yeah. Sometimes there are girls that are just fun, good company to be around, like the homies. But we're also I guess we're hot. Are we hot?
Some would say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that trip, obviously, there would be no expectation.
Yeah.
But depending on your conversation, if a man flies you out solo, I think that there is some expectation from him.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important to have enough money to fly yourself back if you at one point.
If you don't feel, up to the getting it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
So that would be my tip too, is have enough money to fly yourself back.
Yes.
Girl, don't be stranded in Atlanta airport because
that ain't it.
That ain't it.
One person's, this is a guy.
Okay.
He was being a hater. 0, always pay for yourself. Like, first of all, if you were a female that got offered to go on like a trip, like let's say, hey, I'm going to take you to Greece, and you knew that this guy would have no expectations of you, paid for everything. I'm talking flight, room, food, anything you want to do out there, you would go.
Absolutely.
I see guys bashing on us on Facebook all the time about like us going on sponsored trips, starting OnlyFans and shit. And I'm like, you're just mad because you can't come up. That's not your hustle. But these guys who bash on it, I'm like, you're the same guy that's like in my DMs, but you're bashing on my hustle. I don't get it.
The one that doesn't have enough money to sponsor a trip for a woman.
One thing I can say is any sponsored trip I've been on, it's a guy that I've actually like, not sponsored, but I'm dating him and he like pretty much takes care of everything. So, I mean, do you think that it like is proper I think that it would be in the right, what do you say? Like, it would be nice to reciprocate some sex in return.
If you like him, absolutely.
If you like him, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, give him the cookie. There's nothing wrong with it.
See, but I don't consider that like a sponsored trip because you guys are dating, you know?
Right.
Then it's not weird, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, give him a cookie.
Yeah, give him the cookie.
I was going to give you the cookie locally anyway, so...
All right, let's see. One person put, it's none of my goddamn business. That's facts. It is none of y'all's business.
That is true.
A sponsored trip is a lavish, extravagant, and exotic location. Anything goes. Anything goes! The book. One that all expenses are paid.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, so have you ever been on a sponsored trip? How many and how many?
So I'm in a good position that with my flight attendant job, that I fly free.
Uh-huh.
So in order to never, ever feel like I owed a man something, I just flew myself there.
Okay, so you're smart.
Because
I'm not that smart.
Well, I think you're smart, girl. But so I've only gone on maybe one as a friend, the same thing that we just described. My friend was seeing a guy and he flew us all out.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the only time I've ever actually given someone like my birth date and full name so they can book it.
Yeah.
But I was supposed to go on one when I first started my job. We were going to meet in Miami and then he was going to pay to go to the Bahamas. Girl, none of he sold me the dream. And when I got there, he was like, well, let's just stay here. No Bahamas. It's too short.
Ooh, I hate that.
He switched up. He was rude. So I think I lasted like 8 hours there and I booked my own hotel and ended up like being in Miami by myself because I was like, no. But I always tell myself like, girl, what if you were broke and you had to stay there?
Right.
Thankfully I was in a position to where I didn't need to, but it's not, I feel like we always see like the glitz and the glam of all these sponsored trips. But
right.
Now in the Instagram age, random men are like offering to fly you out. Yeah. I think you need to make sure you know them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it's like, you don't know. Like, there's a lot of weird shit going on in the world these days with like sex trafficking and stuff. Mm-hmm. And people are really desperate because we're in a pandemic. So I don't know. Yeah. So honestly, like, if my friend says, hey, we're going to this place with these guys because I'm dating him, that's one thing. Because I'm basically her friend to keep her in a comfortable, entertaining place. But I mean, mostly every sponsored trip I've been on, you know, I did go to Cabo with a few NBA players because I was dating one of them.
Okay.
But that was actually a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, I actually liked him. So I can never say that I've gone on a sponsored trip with somebody that I really wasn't into. And just being the friend, it's a whole different thing. Like, you know, you just know you're there. But you do kind of have, for like entertainment, but it sucks because you do have to go to everywhere they want to go, and sometimes these people like party 24/7, and I'm like, how?
Day, dinner,
night, lunch, brunch, anything in between, snacks, like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And there is expectation for you to be fun.
Yep.
To be down
and always
for it
there's
all.
going to be somebody who hits on you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just really weird. So,
do you think you would go, or have you gone on a trip with someone that you've never met? Like he's like, hey, let's meet, or let's go to Cabo. I'll meet you there.
No.
Let me book your flight.
Absolutely not.
No?
Everybody, why, you have?
No, but it's been offered to me. It's been offered to me, and I think it's kind of common. I listened to this podcast where they said Tulum is the first date now.
Tulum is like
it's men will be like,
right now.
hey Cindy, nice to meet you. I'm John. You want to go to Tulum next weekend? Like that's.
I'm very weird about that, only because I've had friends put in some scary situations, and all it takes is like the slip of one roofie, one drug, for them to rape you and leave you on the side of a road somewhere, and nobody will ever find you.
Somewhere
and
that no one.
It has to be people that I know, or at least like I'd have to be going with a girlfriend, you know.
Yeah.
So, so let me ask you this. You know, we'll switch over to the next thing I wanted to ask. What do you see, you know, yourself doing after Nightlife, and how long do you plan to be in it for?
I think depending, we obviously don't know how COVID is going to affect the future of Nightlife.
Right.
I'm new. I still really enjoy the job. So I would see myself doing it for a while. But I do like that I have the backup as a flight attendant. Because one day we're going to get old, or there's going to be a new girl, and we know that this has a, what do you call it, a shelf life?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an expiration date on you.
Yep.
But I'm excited. I think Vegas, with the Raiders coming in, there's a lot of money to be made in this city. And I think you and I both feel like as long as the money's coming in, then I'll be there too.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, like you said, you're fresh meat to the industry. You're new, you know, you're pretty, you're funny. So I think that you'll definitely be going a long way. And just like you said, the Raiders will be coming back in. I do think that our city will pick up eventually. And let's hope so.
Please.
Yeah, no. So, and then let me ask you one thing. Do you make, if you don't mind me asking, do you make more being a flight attendant or as a waitress?
No, because I'm also new to the flight attending, I make more waitressing.
Okay, that makes sense. Because there are some girls who do make really good money doing that, and then like cocktailing is their thing on the side. So,
well, the good thing about flight attending is that you get a yearly raise.
Okay.
So the reason, even though I made fun of them earlier, I'm going to be like a 60-year-old, I mean, God willing, I'm going to be a 60-year-old flight attendant, because they make 6 figures and they get to fly to Hawaii and Cancun and all these cool places.
Right.
I think we top out at like 15 years, you're making $65 an hour.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good money. Well, shoot. Well, cheers to that.
Yeah, girl.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, before we wrap up, do you have any other, you know, questions for me?
Yeah, let's see. Let's get you to spill some tea.
Oh, God. She just put me in the hot seat before we go.
Tell me your worst dating experience, and what team did he play for?
Oh, shit.
Or you ever gone crazy on a guy, like at dinner, because he looked at the waitress, or he got a text?
Jeez. There's a lot of stories, because I'm crazy. I've gone crazy. I dated somebody in the NBA for about 4 years off and on. And it would be really hard so he lived in Phoenix. So I'll just leave that right there. It would be really hard to see that like he'd be with me one weekend and then on like TMZ with like so-and-so another weekend. And I'm talking big time celebrity. So, you know, I think because I was so new to the industry, it was kind of the fact of being able to swallow that pill of like, oh, this is what it is, you know.
This is the reality.
Yeah. So there's that. And as far as like the craziest thing I've done, I dated an industry host. I worked at XS with him. And one time he had lied to me and told me he was like staying home or something.
Okay.
And I found out he went to like the Hyde, I think it was like the Hyde 14 party or something. He was there on a Sunday. And he was there with 2 other waitresses one was from Omni and one was from Jewel. And I chased him around the casino floor because he's like, no, I don't want to talk about this. And the more funny thing was that he was like a director at XS. And pretty much the one who like put in a good word to get me hired.
To get you hired.
I didn't care.
You showed up to hide, or you?
I showed up
you
to
were
hide.
outside,
I was in gym
or-
clothes. No, I showed up, walked in gym clothes because I was just chilling, and I chased his ass around the casino floor.
Oh my god!
He's like, I don't want to talk about this. It's like, no, we're going to talk about this right now.
Talk. Yeah.
So, there's that. I mean, but the basketball player was hard because like, still to this day, like he'll even text me or hit me up. And I'm just like, honestly, now I'm kind of like older and I'm just not there anymore, you know?
No, I think it might be fun at the beginning, but...
Yeah, I'm not in my like early or mid-20s anymore, so, you know. But yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that's it.
You're not too crazy. I thought you were going to give me something.
I mean...
Or maybe you just didn't share.
I mean, I've done crazy things, but not like recently, like as I've been in the industry. But with some of my exes, like I rear-ended his car.
On purpose?
Yeah, on purpose. I've slashed tires. I've thrown scissors at him. I mean, but they deserved it. So, like, because either they cheated on me or, you know, so.
They always deserve it.
Yeah, they always
deserve it. It's always like, what did he do, sis? What did he do to make you
rear end
him?
Yes. You're like, I can relate. So, yeah, that's about it. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bottle Girl Diaries. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below. Also, drop me a comment and let me know who or what you'd like to see featured on the next upcoming episodes. For sneak peeks throughout the week, you can follow us on our Instagram page at Bottle Girl Diaries Official or my personal page at I am Cindy Nansiri, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.